When Dojo Siwa came out, aka lied, about being a lesbian, Nickelodeon cut her off faster than you could blink. But as soon as not one but two members of the girl group Cat's Eye comes out as bisexual, Nickelodeon immediately invited them to perform at the Kids' Choice Awards. Why is it that bisexual people get a pass to be homophobic to lesbians and gays and call us slurs? Why do bisexual celebrities like Cardi B and Tyler, the Creator, get to get away with constantly treating women in such misogynistic ways that lesbians could never get away with and still be loved and successful? Yet lesbian celebrities get canceled for far less. Why do bisexual people in straight relationships get far more love and attention from the LGBT community than homosexual people who are being abused and oppressed in third world countries? The answer? Bi privilege. And before you leave a hate comment and go, no, I'm not saying being bi means you've never faced any problems in life and have had it all easy.
A reality check with me for a second. All it means when someone says that you're likely speaking from a place of privilege is that you're likely to underestimate how severe problems are because they're something that you do not experience for whatever reason that privilege gives you. It means you're unlikely to be personally exposed to the problem, so again, you're going to underestimate its severity. The statement is not a moral judgment of your character or how difficult your life is.
Normalize admitting being privileged when you are. It doesn't automatically make someone a bad person to be privileged in some way. In fact, it's more offensive, trying to hide the advantages that have helped you in life while others may not have those advantages, than admitting you have them. For example, if you're born into a millionaire family, why try to portray yourself on social media as a self-made average person? Just say that you were lucky to be born into a family that gave you this start. That's the problem with a lot of bisexual people, especially bi people in straight relationships. A lot of them are so desperate to be seen as oppressed while in a heterosexual relationship that they even go as far as to say ridiculous things like straight passing privilege is bi erasure. Or even worse, they try to group gay people with their oppressors, straight people, by calling us monosexuals, which is just insanely homophobic, not to mention ironic, considering bisexual people have the closest relationship with straight people. For instance, here's a straight woman defending bisexuals, then later using a lesbophobic slur. Yet bisexuals claim to be oppressed from both sides.
Who is it harder, lesbians or bisexuals?
Bisexuals. That one's because of biphobia, though.
Who is it harder, lesbians or bisexuals?
Bisexuals, because they're getting hit from the front and the back with biphobia.
Who is it harder, lesbians or bisexuals?
Probably, I'd say bisexuals, just because they have the inner community drama, and also with the straight community, everyone likes to use bisexuals as a punching bag.
Lesbians face corrective essay, conversion therapy, abuse, hate crimes daily all over the world, but bisexuals apparently have it worse because of a few mean comments they occasionally see online. This post said, "It's wild how privilege can breed a whole new level of imagined threats, and I couldn't agree more. It really becomes obvious how privileged bi people are when you see them in heterosexual relationships making coming out posts when they don't need to, or when you see bi women, and I kid you not, actually being comforted for being attracted to men, because apparently it's heterosexual attraction that's now stigmatized and not same-sex attraction." I really thought this was a satire, but no, they're being 100% serious. Love when people become so online in spaces like this where marginalized people are actually the ones dominating the conversations that they forget what it's like in the real world and start making positivity posts for things that are literally 100% unchallenged and normalized in real life. Their obsession with self-victimizing is really just insulting to people who are actually going through real systemic oppression. Bisexuals in straight relationships aren't the ones who can't bring their opposite-sex partners home to their families for the holidays because they'll be judged. Bisexual in straight relationships aren't the ones who face homophobic comments and insults daily. Bisexuals in straight relationships aren't the ones who get fetishized. They're not the ones who can't hold hands in public without the fear and risk of being violently attacked. They're not the ones who get statements like, "Your group has high divorce rates," constantly thrown in their faces all the time, or people constantly telling them, "Oh, you just haven't met the right same-sex partner yet." And do you know why I'm specifically talking about bi people in straight relationships? Because the overwhelming majority of bisexuals only date people of the opposite sex. 9 in 10 partnered bisexuals are in opposite-sex relationships, and that's because bisexual people know there's privilege in being a heterosexual relationship. Homosexual people do not have the power to oppress people who have privilege over us. This Medium article said that privilege lies in the inherent proximity to men, and thus access to patriarchal power, something lesbians cannot access. And especially in the ability of bisexual people to be in heterosexual relationships. Lesbianism, on the other hand, is the only sexuality that completely excludes men. Thus, under the patriarchy and homophobia that create lesbophobia, we are always going to be the most oppressed based on our sexuality. No, this is not about playing oppression Olympics. It is about recognizing the underlying power structures that have been completely ignored and outright rejected in this so-called conversation that only truly serves as a way to demonize lesbians and erase bi privilege. Nowhere on this map is it illegal for a bisexual person to be in an opposite-sex relationship. That's bi privilege. Even some bi people are willing to admit this. It's homophobic and manipulative tactic towards lesbians, especially lesbians who don't want to engage with men in any way, and I'm saying that as a bisexual. Saying that bisexuals are less privileged in our androcentric plus homophobic society is just dumb and chronically online opinion. As a bisexual, it is much easier to be bisexual than homosexual. We definitely have it easier, and it's wrong when we claim it's biphobia to point that out. I'll never understand how people jump to lesbian when they're not. I have homophobic family members, and they don't accept me being bi. I can't imagine their reactions if I was lesbian instead. Life is just a bit easier when you aren't fully gay. It does feel a bit weird how much pushback there is from fans whenever an artist comes out as a lesbian after formerly identifying as bisexual. I formerly identified as pansexual. When I came out as lesbian, a lot of relatives or friends unfollowed me on socials, and I got a lot of talks like, "Are you sure?" or "You've just come out of a 2-year relationship with a guy." I was masking to fit in and had internalized homophobia. Same. Several of my friends I had, some for 10 plus years, started moving differently around me when I came out as lesbian versus bi. A lot of my mom's family became cold and distant too after she outed me to them. Went from being with my nana every weekend to seeing her 1 time a year. Nobody treated me any differently the 4 years I openly identified as bi before, but as soon as I realized I was a lesbian, I really started to experience homophobia. As a lesbian that used to identify as bi, I can say I have had a lot more issues since saying I was a lesbian over saying I was bi alone. And for people to think I'm like making things up about that experience, which is something everyone I know has also gone through. I'm bi. But I feel like I cheated because I didn't go through the pain queer people usually go through. My parents are supportive. I never did a quiz, nor was uncomfortable with my sexuality. And to be honest, nobody even said homophobic things to me. I know it seems like I'm bragging about it. I'm sorry. At first, I thought since I didn't go through this, I couldn't consider myself as really queer. But I don't mean to present myself as a victim, even though you just did. I hate to be the bi girl that only has relationships with men stereotype. But I would feel so irresponsible pursuing a serious relationship with a girl knowing that I'm not brave enough to marry her and show her off without fear of disappointing my family. Marrying a woman is something I think about constantly, and I see myself spending a lifetime with a woman, but I know it would absolutely kill my mother. Going out of my way to date a woman who is already out and proud would be very irresponsible, and honestly just wouldn't make sense. This is bisexual privilege. Having the ability to avoid homophobia by choosing to only date men. Even most sapphic or woman-loving women shows are mainly just about bisexual women. Almost all quote-unquote lesbian movies are always about bisexual women. It's always about how she's married to a man and is realizing she's attracted to women, or she's struggling to choose if she wants to stay with her husband or boyfriend or leave him to be with a woman. I never see a lesbian movie about a woman who already knows and accepts her sexual orientation, and I never see masked lesbian representation. Bisexual people in heterosexual relationships are not special or different from every other straight couple. They're doing exactly what most of the population are doing anyways. This constant need to be different is tiring.